All right, CNT125, we're continuing Chapter 12. We're on the next section of Traffic Monitoring Tools, or SNMP. SNMP, Supplemental Network Management Protocol, is an enterprise-wide network management system. Organizations often use some type of SNMP network management system to gather information from the network to build kind of like a network health profile and use that to help with seeing what's functioning and maybe getting access to things when things are having errors. So SNMP has a couple pieces to it. It has a network management station that's kind of like your server, the dashboard, if you will. The managed device, these are things like your routers and switches and access points and things that you want to monitor in your network. The network management agent, that is the configuration we do on those devices to report back. We're going to do some of that in our lab this week. We'll turn some agents on the routers and switches so it reports information back to a management station, if you will. And then there's the management information base. That's the database that we're storing information on. Storing this interface is down, this interface is up, that sort of thing. So let's take a look. Your network management station is going to collect data from multiple sources. Could be a server or workstation, but with network management software installed. So this device here, if you will, this server here, gathering information from all of our devices, whether it be printers, switches, routers, phones, access points, that sort of thing. And it could be something like Cisco Works, it could be something like SolarWinds, it could be something like OpenNMS. This is a Linux-based open network management system, if you will. The managed devices are things that we want to monitor. Routers, switches, access points, and I could, depending on my network, I could keep going further. Sometimes you might not manage all the desktops because something else might be watching that. But the more I add, the more information I'm gathering, but also the more I need to configure and maintain of. Each of these devices are going to have a little database of information and report back to the management station when maybe a threshold is met. Maybe we let it know, hey, when a port goes down, let me know. Maybe we let it know when somebody logs in through SSH or tries with Telnet, let me know. And those would be things that we can configure on the device out here. That information that we're reporting has an OID associated with it. That actually is a organized standard that those numbers along basically a flowchart, if you will, mean a specific device and a specific port kind of thing. So I could track this through that this is a blah router and this is a blah port and this port is down kind of thing. That's what those actually mean. They're references to a piece of information in a database. The network management agent is the config we do on each of our devices, like the router, switch, access points, that tell it to report back to the management station. We'll be doing a little bit of this in our lab this week. We'll tell the routers and switches to report back when blah type event occurs. So that is the config that we're doing on each of these devices. And it's this kind of thing. On the router, I say, hey, let me know when blah port is, let me walk you through real quick. We let it know what community we're paying attention to. In this case, we're calling this CNT. It's read-only. We're just gathering information. And we send it out a specific port that'll get us in the direction of the management station. And we're saying, hey, when any of these conditions occur, let us know. Link down, link up, cold start, warm start, reboot, anything like that. Let us know that and report it to this. And this would be the address of your management station. It'd be the address of the management station. That type of config would go on routers and switches to let us know, let the management station know these events occurred. And you can tune this. There's a whole list of things you can pick from, but you can tune that to say, I want to know these conditions. That information then goes into a database. There's a list of objects that can be managed on each device, and then that can get reported back to the database on the management station. And then that database gets referenced to provide health data, if you will, on your network. And here I'm showing you that on our OpenNMS that we ran, there actually is a SQL database that's running. And then here on OpenNMS, it shows you that there is a These are the different compiled things that can be done in here, but this is also, there's your MIB compiler, things that are compiled and saved on there. The simple network management protocol is then the protocol that's going to communicate back and forth between your managed devices and your network management station. It is typically using ports 161, 162 over UDP, and this is information exchanged back and forth. More recent, the SNMP version 3 is more secure version. Older versions were out there, and this is the protocol that's going to go between our devices like the router and the management station. Device like a switch in the management station. And if I Wireshark, I literally see SNMP traffic, and I literally see conditions. There's your port number 162. And if I keep going down through and in here in the trap, it would let me know what condition was met that it sent this alert. There is different type of SNMP messages, get request, get response, get next, and these would all be things that are communicated between the management station and the device, if you will. Sometimes the server's like, give me a particular update, give me the next thing in your table, that sort of thing. So I might actually see those types of messages as well if I look at those. Look closer at the SNMP traffic. And that's kind of what I'm showing you here, an SNMP trap. SNMP trap, that would be the kind of thing we're going to be looking for in the lab. A trap is the router or switch has a certain condition was met, and it's telling the management station, hey, this port is down. Hey, this port is up. And that is a message generated from that device. So the router or switch sends it to and lets us know a condition. And it's usually something like a port is down, a port is up kind of deal. So here's your communication from your device to the management server, and the managed device, a trap coming in and so forth. Those are the kind of things we're going to be looking for. We're going to try to create some of those in our lab and capture that. The results then can get displayed a number of different ways. Something like this is pretty handy, showing you ports are up and down, and these actually show you the traps and alerts down here, letting you know certain conditions occurred. And if I read those, it'll even let you know blah port is down, blah port is up kind of deal. And sometimes it's even more global view, showing the condition of links, the status of links. There is a NetFlow out there, Cisco proprietary. NetFlow is a proprietary traffic monitoring protocol from Cisco that you might run into depending on where you work. And this starts showing you breakdown of, sources of traffic and that sort of thing, and even atop different applications. This can give you a view of what's happening in my network as well. So there's even some proprietary stuff out there. There's open source stuff, there's proprietary stuff to monitor your network traffic, or even do some SNMP network management in your network. And again, if you do like an all Cisco system, you might use stuff like this. If you do more mixture of things, you might use an open source like OpenNMS and gather things that way. But you usually have some sort of application monitoring your network and providing you feedback. As you move into cloud, we need ways to see what is happening with our cloud resources. And in here, you can see there's CloudTrail, Amazon Web Services, and letting us know status of things. And this would be something that you'd be checking on your cloud resources to know what sort of events are occurring out here, and maybe even set up that those reports or alerts come to a certain location, that you're able to see that. And then here's even different alarms that can be set in an EC2. Options that can let us know that a certain event has occurred. All right, as we move into our next topic here, we talk about performance management and fault management. Performance management, how well the links and devices keeping up, and fault management is detecting those particular faults. Well, we just got to talking about SNMP and getting these alerts that things are down. That's kind of our fault management, our piece of our fault management. Getting that information to let us know this is an issue, and maybe give us a clue to where start troubleshooting to return or to repair or return that connection, if you will. But I might need some baseline data to know what's normal versus what's not normal. There is utilities out there that can help build baseline data for a particular network at a particular company, a particular site, because I might have normal ebbs and flows of traffic, obviously days of the week, but I might also have certain ebbs and flows by times of the month too. Maybe certain applications get run at a certain time of the month, or maybe certain things get filed at the certain type of the month, and I'll be able to catch up to that as a normal ebb and flow of my traffic. So I would need some baseline data and then start building from that what's normal and what are the anticipated spikes or the spikes that are normal out of the ordinary. That would be all helpful from baseline. Again, there are utilities out there to help build that baseline data. So as we look at some other things on baseline, I think I actually already mentioned these. I would need to know maybe what's normal and what changes, certain traffic patterns, day, week, month, etc. And then there's different utilities out there to help with gathering baseline so I know what's normal, and then I can see what is out of normal that I might need to respond to. So I need to gather that, and then here are some key performance indicators that get used for this. Device availability, interface stats, utilization, error rate, etc. So interface stats, or device availability, performance, looking at memory usage, CPU, connection speed, etc. Interface, uptime, and that sort of thing. Utilization, how much bandwidth are we utilizing as normal? Error rate, what's a normal error rate for our facility? Hopefully very low. Packet drops, what's kind of normal for packet drops? Jitter. That was those packets that are kind of like little pieces of packets, if you will, in latency and that sort of thing. That might be acceptable in some cases, but other cases that might not be acceptable for your voice and video latency issues. All right. So when we come back to the next one, we'll start talking about doing some bandwidth management.